Allow me to introduce myself. I guess we'll say um, I'm the Beyond Above Deep Black Director of the Illuminati, and I'm typically the one who makes the videos that you hear, the very few that we have on the channel. I'm kind of caught in my particular emotions at the moment, so just kind of bear with me. First of all, it's supposed to be black screen. You shouldn't be seeing any image. And that's basically I don't feel like showing my face. B, I just want you to focus on what I have to say. And that's pretty much why I don't want to show my face. Just want you to hear what I have to say and don't have any other types of distractions. I'm going to attempt to make this short, which never really works out, but if this video is under like 3 or 4 minutes, I'll be surprised, but it'll be good for you because you can go about your day and not get caught up in all this stuff I have to say, which most people won't care about anyway. All right, so I was just sitting here. We had a meeting, the Illuminati, and we have meetings pretty much 4 times a year, major ones, in a normal course of business. When there are things going on like the type of things that are going on in the world, we of course have a lot more meetings, but most people won't know that, like, when particular how should I put it? I guess I should see, this is not going to be short, but I'm going to try to keep it shorter than it probably should be. Okay. In other videos, I've attempted to explain a little bit of our background as far as just certain parts of it, like what we are, whatever. And I doubt to most of you that it comes across the way it should, in part because of the way I try to put it, and in part because it's very difficult to explain in the first place. But in case this is something I haven't said in a video, because I haven't made a video in a long time, the super short version of it is the Illuminati is atoms. Like, if you watch particular movies, okay, I guess I can talk about a movie without having to worry about like copyright infringement stuff and all of that, because now see, you can't even have a conversation because there's so many things you have to worry about when you actually speak, which is part of the reason I'm speaking so slow. I'm trying to think while I'm trying to edit myself while I'm talking, because I'm not in a position to have time or whatever to edit things and then put them out. And I pretty much hate watching YouTube videos where people have to edit stuff out, especially when during certain subjects. I'd rather just see somebody talk it through. So, okay, I'm just kind of babbling right there. Anyway, that wasn't babbling, but whatever. Anyway, where was I at? When you watch, say, Transformers, and they're fighting for the Allspark, you can pretty much call the Allspark the Illuminati. It's not an organization. It's what caused everything to come into existence, or rather, not what caused everything to come into existence, but the catalyst, I guess that's a decent word, for why all things exist. So if you want to go to before that, the before times, we'll call it, there was nothingness. And, you know, the thing that always intrigues everyone, us included, not as much as maybe most people, is how all of this came from nothingness. Like, if there was nothing in the beginning of time or whatever, then how did things come to exist? And, you know, I'm not going to go off into religion and all that stuff, all deep and things like that, because I was basically making this video to kind of vent a little bit. That's when I usually make videos so far. But I think it needs to be said that if I'm saying at the beginning of time there was nothing and how did all of this come into existence, then what you should not be thinking is your version or version you were taught of how things came into existence, but instead emptying your mind and using your own mind. If that's even possible for any of us these days, use your own mind to imagine complete nothingness. Like the thoughts that you're having right now, they don't exist. They should not exist. Your mind should be so blank that you're not even having a thought. You should be in complete darkness, which is another reason I suppose subconsciously you'll see I make videos where it's a lot of times a black screen. But I guess this helps facilitate that. Like if you're sitting in the dark right now and eyes closed, I guess it would be like one of those machines where you're deprived of senses, I think it's called a sensory deprivation machine or something like that. Just imagine nothingness. So now the first thought I would like you to have, by the way, I'm not trying to hypnotize you. It's coming across like that to myself, so I'm imagining some of you, or nobody really watches this channel, but I'm imagining the one of two of you who are listening to this are like, yo, this dude's trying to hypnotize me, I'm out. That's not what's going on here. Just imagine as your first thought, well, now you got to go back to a blank mind again. So I'll give you a second to do that. I'll count to 3, but in my mind, I'll count to 3. Not in yours. You just go blank. Okay. So now as your first thought, try to figure out how things came to be. If there's nothing. If you're able to have just dropped off into that little, emptiness that quickly, then hold on for a second, because a truck is driving by and it's messing up my whole train of thought. All right, so now if you were able to drop into that emptiness and imagine that, then the first thought I would think, interesting, right? The first thought I would think that you would have is nothing should be able to come out of nothingness. And so just know that that is what the Illuminati is in its core. Again, I shouldn't be trying to go too deep into the Illuminati thing, but you need to understand this part before I say the next, what the actual subject of the video is. If nothing should be able to exist, then none of us should be here. And so, how did that happen? Now, the reason I brought this into play so much is because most people, now you can return to your normal train of thought. Most people would say, oh no, God made everything. Okay, well, in the beginning there was nothing. So where was God in that picture? Oh, God's been around since the beginning, and it says in the Bible. And again, I'm not going to go too deep into that, because everybody's like really, people's feathers get ruffled very easily or whatever, when people don't even have an understanding, humans, because I'm not human completely. I'm only as human as I need to be to take care of things I need to take care of on this plane of existence. That's another story for another time, maybe. Unless somebody asks me to explain it, then okay. Humans, damn, where was I? just give me a second to get back to my train of thought, because I go off on so many tangents, as you already know, that I'll forget my train of thought from something I was saying, very easily, especially if I get distracted by things going on around me, which I'm always taking care of 1,000 things at once. Even while I'm sitting here making this video, can't even focus on why I'm making the video, because I got so much stuff to always take care of. I guess I'll just go backwards to where I was at. When you deal with religion, that's where it was. Humans don't even have an understanding of the stuff that they study that they want to call religion. Religion, the word R-E-L-I, in its core, can mean old, or the same thing that the actual word with a Y at the end of it comes from, which is rely. So you can combine them if you want. I mean, it's almost free reign these days what you do with words, as long as you're approaching it from the root. But it's an old thing that you're relying upon. So basically, there's generations and generations where you get taught, not you think, but you get taught, told, trained on what to believe, when the only truth is the truth that you knew when you were in your womb. I guess you could say your womb, when you were in the womb, and before that, which most people don't remember, and the very few days after you're born, where you're experiencing what's going on around you, where people think you're so stupid because you were just born. You know what? I guess I'm not even going to try to make this a short video. I'm looking at the time. Really seriously, 12 minutes have passed already. That's insane. But anyway, okay. I'll try to keep it somewhat short. You're just been born. You've been alive for a couple of days. And, people think you're so stupid because you're a newborn. You don't know anything. That's according to humans. Humans are morons. I'll try to be nice because, I don't need anybody, this guy, the video, take it down. I'll try to be nice with what I say, how I say it. But just know and understand that the core of certain things, like I said, when I say humans are morons, it's way, way deeper than that. But I'm going to try to be nice. I'm not going to say what I really, truly feel in my heart. And know and understand while I'm talking that because I'm doing my self-editing thing, 99.999% of what I'm saying, the organization, which is the Illuminati, is in total agreement with me. If I need to, I'll get to the part about it being an organization, it not being an organization. But we had a meeting about this particular thing. The meeting probably wasn't my portion in the meeting was as long as this video is probably going to end up being. But I just want you to know and understand that. So when I speak, I'm speaking on behalf of the Illuminati. There's people way higher in it than I am. So, when I say a beyond, above, deep black director, if you know anything about black operations, black projects, the black world, all these things like this, it just keeps going. It goes off into like infinity and beyond, right? What was that dude's name anyway? Everything pretty much goes to those things. But anyway, so where was I at? So it goes deep and deep and deep and deep. So, I have a high position. I've earned the hell out of it over not decades, not centuries, not millennia, way further than that, but walking this plane of existence. For the very few of you who know who I am or kind of sort of know me, we'll just say decades, at least now. But anyway, I'm going too deep into that too, right? Where was I back at? So with religion, people, your first couple of days you're born, everybody is like, oh, look at the cute little baby. And, they're just showering you with affection, your parents and stuff, hopefully. And, the general public, hopefully. But when you look into their eyes as a baby, even sometimes with your parents, you understand and realize in your soul that they're faking it. So, as a baby, you have all of these different abilities. Everybody's treating you like you're the moron when they're the moron, and you're looking at them and looking around and you're absorbing all this information and trying to make sense of it. Because remember, for the past approximately 9 months, allow me to pause for a second, because I think I'm gonna send this to him, but one of my a friend of mine, D. I just say D. So when I send it to you to watch, you know who I'm talking about. I just had this thought because like he's always telling me when we talk like, yo, you're a beautiful person. I love the stuff that you say, and that's what's floating through my mind right now. When I it's been hard to avoid when I talk to anybody about illumination, free thinking, all these things like this, to avoid those little things he says intermittently sometimes or whatever from entering my head. It just making me smile, and because I'm really angry right now. I'm tearing a little bit because I'm so angry, but I'm trying to stay composed while I'm making a video. It's like you guys are listening to it. You're like, oh my God, he's just dragging on, and hopefully you're really listening and getting past whatever the drag on part is. And so hopefully you're really listening, but just know and understand inside, I'm angry. The organization, they're way angrier than I am because of the state of the world, and it shouldn't be this way. But so let me get back to where I was at. So anyway, you're a baby, you're looking at everything around you, you're absorbing all this information, and the thing that's going through your mind, I know some of you out there, oh Lord, I keep acting like people are actually going to watch this. Okay, let me act like people are going to watch this. So maybe one day when someone does, there'll be those few people who say, yeah, I remember when I was a baby and a lot of the thoughts I had about things that were going on around me. Okay, let's stay there. You're a baby, you're watching things, you're absorbing, and for the previous 9 months before you were born, you were hearing most of this or sensing it. That's the womb, it's its own sensory deprivation chamber. And so for the 9 months that you're developing, remember, you existed before that. Well, I can't say remember for some of you, but in terms of what you know or don't know, going deeper into illumination. But anyway, so before you were actually born, when you were a spirit or whatever, or part of the nothingness, if this is your first time around in existence, then you were absorbing information back then, even as the nothingness. So, I would like you to imagine the nothingness as a record, like an album. I was whatchamacallit, I guess I can say this. I'm trying to self-edit. If you ever watched the TV show Fringe, like, okay, short on that, Fringe is a show about, in the United States, the FBI, but it goes off into DHS, Department of Homeland Security, Central Intelligence Agency, Secret Service, and the beyond. Again, the Buzz Lightyear, that was it, right? It goes into the beyond, like goes into things that aren't supposed to exist, and then it goes a little bit into the black world. And so in Fringe, damn it, what was I just talking about? Baby, sleep deprivation chamber. I think that's pretty much where we were at. The womb is its own sleep deprivation chamber. Freaking it. Okay, we'll come back to that later because I lost my train of thought trying to go too deep into stuff because, again, I'm distracted. I can't even focus on when I go off into tangents. Or maybe I'll start back there and I just continue from there. Maybe they just hit me again. Like I said, bear with me. This is how I am, like, normally. So if you ever were to know me, I guess you just get used to it or something, whatever. Anyway, so the womb is its own sleep deprivation chamber. And you sit there and you're absorbing everything, and you're going by just strictly your senses. And when you're put into that position, right, from going from the Complete Nothingness album, there it is. I'm gonna start doing that. I haven't been in the habit of much doing that. Starting back from exactly where I was at when I lost my train of thought, but now I'm back on Fringe, TV show Fringe album. There was this episode where someone got killed, murdered. I'm trying to be careful about what I say, but I guess we should still be able to say that, right? It's still politically correct to say that. In a TV show, someone got murdered, and the person who got murdered, they had this ability where they let off extreme amounts of heat, kind of like a person who can spontaneously combust but stay alive. Like, there's one of those X-Men characters or something like that can do that. But what was going on was they melted a window when they were getting murdered, and so the window, though the pain was still there. If you've ever watched Fringe, like a lot of people have watched Fringe, it's like one of the greatest shows ever. And so, if you remember that episode, it was like season 1 or something. Then it's like a record album. The way they described it in the show. Hold on for a second. Another truck passing by. Seems shorter trucks make less of a noise than long trucks. Interesting. Anyway, so the way they describe it in the show is like the melted glass. When speech is happening, it's kind of like a record when they're making a record album. For those of you who are old enough or knowledgeable enough to remember actual albums, and albums were recorded, it's like this vinyl, and the needle or whatever makes the record, laser before lasers, it was before lasers, melts the information or something like that as grooves into the record, vibrations. And so the same thing is said to have happened to the window, where they were able to take the window and use a program to actually hear what happened in the room so they could figure out who the killer was and things of that nature. And so the reason I kind of brought that into play, if I can even remember it correctly, when you have that type of sensory deprivation going on, and then the things that happen before that, now you're born, and I lost that train of thought again. I did, right? At least I can laugh because I started this off in such a bad mood and I'm still angry, but okay. Let's go back to let's try to back to the beginning thing again. Don't you just love it when somebody doesn't edit? You get to see all of I like these videos. They're longer, but I like it when I watch it myself. So maybe you won't like it, but I do. Anyway, so let's go back to the nothingness part. So you come out of nothingness, and this is gonna have nothing to do with the album, I don't think, because I don't think I'm gonna remember. So I'm just continue. You come out of the nothingness, and somehow you end up here, and you're in this chamber. You're absorbing all this information, and you're like a record. I guess we can say it like that. I don't remember exactly what I was going to say before. Maybe you can imagine what I was going to say. If I ever remember, I'll jump back to it again and try to stay with that part of it. But yeah, we can liken a newborn baby, or rather a baby in the womb, to being like a record. All of this information is getting written to you strictly off of sensories. Like, let me rephrase that. The lack of vision, you have your hearing, or at the very beginning, you don't, or maybe you do. There's all of the normal senses that you have right now. Like, if you've been watching this and listening completely with your eyes closed in the dark, this should be really cool. I should have been saying it all in the dark, but with my eyes closed, but whatever. Anyway, so, imagine as a baby, or the before times, and you're coming into being a baby, and you may or may not be able to hear, see, probably can't smell, or whatever. Feel, maybe I feel, the nerves have to develop, and all these things like this. But either way, you're like a record. And that's not what I was going to say, but maybe I needed to say what I said and forget what I was going to say to come to that part, because maybe that's more important. Your brain is like a CDRW, I'm gonna just keep talking because if I jump off into CDRW, it's too deep. I'm gonna forget. Your brain's like a CDRW. Just information is getting written into it, and you have no choice with regards to what's getting written into it at the moment. But remember, they're rewritable if you remember CDRWs. And so all this information is getting written to you over the course of that 9 months, and then you're born. So it's probably kind of like going from being a CDRW, if it can transform and get upgraded into, like, I don't know, some type of holographic disc. You know, it seems like in life, which is all illumination, that all of these things are connected, and that ends up happening, you know, in a real world, if you want to call this, not the real world, but in science and technology, out in this world. You see how what I'm saying is coming into play, but it's kind of like that's what's happening to you when you're a baby, and then you're born, and then you're absorbing information. You can see now, you can smell. If you haven't had any problems as a child, like, you know, physiological problems, I guess you would call it, biophysiological. You can see, you can smell, you can touch, you feel, you hear, and whatever other senses you have that are unique to you, and you're still absorbing, but because you have these other senses, you're able to refine the information that you're absorbing while simultaneously rewriting possibly things that you experienced but didn't have enough information for. We'll say it that way. And so, you know, that's I guess this is all a short version of You're the Baby.